No, we got given 2 or 3 different rooms. When we came in this morning, we were thinking at one stage to use the other room for this one. It is just a conference room though.
But we have a round table now.
Yeah, had we had a bigger group, we might have used it, but this is comfortable around.
You described it as the is it the overlap? And
Yes.
I had this image of sort of like a high breakfast table and stools.
Had we been given a room like that,
Yes.
it would have been. It would have been.
I've been watching episodes of the overlap now, just
Yeah.
Gary
work
Neville.
it.
Unfortunately, I've been given Gary Neville's role. I'm going to keep bringing things back to the topic.
What we should have done is, at the end of it, we should have worked out who everybody else was from the overlap. Everybody else's roles.
Who's going to be Roy Keane? Who's going to be the moody one?
You've
That'll
never
be
met
me.
him before. He has his moments.
Yeah, that'll be me. As you get older, you get more into that sort of mould. Just sort of,
Matt wants a photo? No, I'm here to work. No,
yeah, that's the latest, isn't it? We had Christmas. Everyone's putting Christmas songs on in the office, and it was on from 8:30. And I said, I'm not being funny, but if it's going to be on all day, can we just pick an hour and have it? Everyone's like, yeah, and then everyone's really glad when I'm out, so they can be a bit more festive. So.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, it's too much. It's far too much.
But it's the 3rd of December. By whatever date,
you go crazy.
Yeah, it's like working in a department store.
They were trying to play him in our office in November, and I was like, no, we don't do anything until it's December. And then I saw this little Christmas tree, only about that big, just appear. So I was like, who's done it?
Yeah.
Who was
that away?
Who was it?
And you two have never met before, prior to this date, have you?
No.
Not any interaction, because all 4 of us sport in passion, in terms of your own way. You're mad on your Grand Prix, and your football. He's the other side with a funny shaped ball.
I was playing football last night, though. Actually. Awful.
Yeah. But my old man sends his best as well.
Oh yeah, how is he? He's all right.
He's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
as I say, I got him out to collect some graphics yesterday for us.
Did you?
So he felt as though he was contributing.
Oh, I've got him working.
I'll give him my regards.
And I sent him, as I had a couple with him actually, I was showing, because I admit, when I put that post on yesterday about the 7, was it yesterday, Monday?
I don't know what
Whenever
day
I
it
put
is.
that post on LinkedIn, in terms of the 7 years the new business has been going since we closed the old one down. It was only because it was my dad's birthday as well, and for right or wrong, I wanted to post something about my dad in it as well.
Yeah.
And I said, there's some comments there that I really want to share with you and show you, because there's actually nicely made reference to my dad in some of the comments as well. His comment, I would have liked it if you'd have put TSB show business in the copy.
Maybe we should get you done on the podcast.
No.
I think it's a great idea.
Not a chance. Not that there's too many stories there that we don't know.
I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but we always edit them out.
What, the entire podcast? Come in, record, James, just don't press record.
Just send him the version. That's all.
Where did that get posted? That's the latest one. Which page is that on? No, that's on LinkedIn. You don't have LinkedIn, Dad. Oh, so I've had to post it on Facebook now so you can see it.
Yeah. It is
So
nice
it's on
post.
there as well. But yeah, so I know James will now tell me that he's recording already, and he's been recording for about 20 minutes already. So we'll...
Don't send that bit to either of our dads.
We'll edit those out. But yeah, I just want to try and, to begin with, fall back on the episodes that we had with you. And I want to keep yours for a minute, because yours was season 7, and we had a good chat when you were on. A lot of it about the family, the background.
Yeah. You
becoming what was relatively a new dad at the time, and we've had a few years since then, so your little lady's growing up day by day. And how things been, since last
Yeah, it's this year in particular has been an interesting year. Juggling the family and the work is never easy. And my wife is a teacher, but she is she works for an academy chain, and she's a director of English, so she goes around lots of different schools, so she's not just based at one school all the time. So quite often she can't do drop-offs in the morning, so I have to do a lot of the drop-offs, but then if you're away you can't do drop-offs, and I'm quite lucky that we lean on my mum quite a lot, who my mum works for us, but we've managed to get it down to 2 days a week now, which helps with the childcare as well. So that was part of that decision, yeah. But no, I think we found, because we were just coming out of COVID when we last spoke, and I think we found since then there's been a lot more sort of in industry collaboration. People are more willing to work together a lot more, and I think I'm sending bits of business to people that I would previously maybe think of as a competitor, and vice versa. And I think this year, the fact that events are still happening when you've got the war in the Middle East, you've got the war in Ukraine, you've had the election, you've had the Euros, you've had the Olympics, you've had the budget that hardly anybody's happy with, and all these different things that have just been stumbling blocks all the way through. But I think it goes back to a similar theme of when we were talking coming through COVID. It's just that resilience of the industry to just keep going and keep creating these amazing experiences.
Yeah, I'm just checking, because I'm pretty sure on that episode we were talking about your receiving headline and the crystal maze and having
we were, yes, and it's still there, just about.
Yeah,
it's still.
Well,
I didn't realise that I was losing it at the back until my brother did Christmas.
He's just taking a picture.
He's now taking a picture of the back. Perfect timing there, thanks mate. I didn't realise I was losing it at the back until it was Christmas, and my brother was like, how long have you been receding on top of your head? I was like, I'm not receding on top of my head, it's just at the front. And he goes, yeah, you are. And I was like, no, I'm not. And I looked at my wife and she went, I didn't want to tell you. And so he then took a picture of it and put it in the family WhatsApp group.
Of course.
So yeah, it's still, I'm holding on by a thread, yeah, it's still there at the moment.
Ben, you were episode 2 of season 1.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
That was a fun. I tell you what, I listened to this and I've got to share it with people. Don't worry, it's not of you. This is me making fun of myself, so I'm allowed to. But the entry music and the start of the podcast on that occasion, see if you can pick it up.
It sounded El Dorado. It sounded like something like, or a travel program. I was listening back to it.
But wait for it.
Hello and welcome to the Events Insight, bringing you illuminating tales from our exciting and diverse events industry. With over 40 years combined experience, we've worked far and wide and across multiple sectors in this fabulous world of events, and we've met some amazing businesses and many fantastic characters.
So,
we
Ellen,
want to share their stories with you, how they got into events, what they've learned on the way, and why they're still here now.
Get on
We
with
aim
it.
to entertain, enlighten, and hopefully inspire others to join this amazing industry.
I thought it was like 45.
There's a comedian you sound just like who was on Fighting Talk on Radio 5 Live all the time. And I was listening to that just before I listened back to that, and I thought, hang on a minute, was it it's a double, same guy.
Had you been out the night before or something?
Well, I must have, and that was a pre-record. When was that? That was back in
2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah,
sounds like?
Start of October 2020.
Sounds like Ellen's talking on speed a bit, like, and then doesn't even sound like you. Just.
But yeah, how
able to be?
things have changed.
Hello everyone, I'm Richard Smith, Chief Commercial Officer at Wyboston Lakes Resort, and we are thrilled to sponsor the Events Insight podcast. At Wyboston Lakes, we understand that events are more than just gatherings. They're opportunities to connect, inspire, and make a lasting impact. Our award-winning facilities offer state-of-the-art technology, flexible spaces, and a stunning backdrop to ensure every event is memorable. But what truly sets us apart is our commitment to delivering exceptional experiences crafted with care for every guest and delegate. We're proud to be part of this community that's shaping the future of events, and we look forward to the insights, stories and expertise shared. Enjoy the podcast.
And hey, 2020, we're now coming towards the end of 24, right, into 25, and how's things been for you?
They've been okay. Yeah, it's been a real eye-opener over the last 4 years in terms of, my role, the business, how things have changed. But yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. But yeah, a lot of hard work, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of tears, a lot of people putting a lot of hard work into a business that continues to thrive from our point of view and as an industry as well. So it's people want to have events, want to go to events, and want to go to good quality events as well, because there's a lot of competition from festivals, from established sort of iconic British sporting events and cultural events. So people recognise that the money that they're spending needs to be well spent.
Yeah, the choice of where they spend that money has to be a little bit more selective than what it used to be.
People are a bit more savvy about what they do and where they go to.
Yeah, so that which means the experience has to be so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, so we're being asked to deliver and keep up in the bar in terms of those experiences.
And I think people are going direct to the supplier a lot more for certain things. So then they're wanting it at a cheaper price, but they're wanting the ultimate experience at the same time.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of that in that some people recognise they want the turnkey approach to you to do everything, and some people come in and say, no, actually, you're absolutely right, we'll take that on ourselves and we'll do that and we'll try and make a saving. And you know, sometimes you're quite happy to look at your core business and go, yeah, we're good at that and we'll concentrate on that. And then, you know, you can do what you want to do and do that well as well. So, yeah.
And that's where it comes back to what you were saying there in terms of that fostering approach in terms of across the industry now, in terms of I'm stacked out for this period, but I know my colleague who can deliver a fantastic experience. Go ahead and, you know.
And there's a lot more companies coming together, and you know, we're working on something with a few other companies where we're coming together as a group, where you can feed bits of business to other people and feed bits to other suppliers that might be something completely different to you. Like if in the old days, if somebody would say to me, "Oh, we're doing an exhibition stand," I'd probably try and figure out how to do it myself. But the amount of time it's going to take me to figure out how to do an exhibition stand compared to actually getting people who know how to do it properly, it's just concentrate on what you're good at, isn't it? So
and like we said all those years ago now, there's enough business out there. We were going through that difficult period where was there enough business? I still believe there was enough business out there.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of, so we need to retain our value, we need to retain our experience, we need to retain what our, as you just said, our specialism is. Deliver what you're good at.
Yeah.
You know, do well at that, you'll get more of that, because often you don't want the bit that you're not good at, because it's more of a headache and costs more in the long term.
Costs you more stress, and it ends up being normally somebody more senior in the company having to deal with it because it's something new, and then they have to take that on. Takes them away from what the main job is. So.
And I think clients appreciate honesty, that if we can't do that, but here's my recommendation for somebody that I know really well and they can do this, they appreciate that. And then, you know, you build that relationship with that other supplier, so future work can then be passed and shared.
Especially if you've got that trust. You know, so if you've been working with a client for a long time and you just say, look, that isn't what we do, but if I was going to do that, this is the person that I'd use. Bring them in as an extended part of the team, because you know that you're going to be working with them anyway. You know, we've done that quite often in the past in terms of when you've supplied structures for us.
Yeah.
You know, I know, because, you know, me and Ben go way back, and I know that standard-wise, Ben knows my standards, I know his standards, we're both comfortable in terms of where we need to be on that. It means that when I arrive, I know exactly what's going to be in place. And you can relax. You don't have to put that extra management in for those 3 days of the build. You can start on the 4th day. Whereas historically, when you work with some suppliers, it's a case of, well, you've got to build that management in for those 3 days as well, which automatically builds costs up. So I think it is. It's always about finding those right people that you can trust and have those similar values and standards.
Yeah, very much so. I think that's a case of building a team, probably in your business as well, Nathan. It's building a team that you can trust and you can work with and that have like-minded values that, you know, work in the same way, because you want to pass things on to people and let them run with it and do it, and they're going to do the same core of what the company's been built up on.
Some of the lads that work for me now, I can arrive on site and they'll come across to me and say, Jack, here's your snag list.
Before you say anything.
Before you walk around, we've done the walk around for you. Here's the snag list that you're going to see. It's built in to get done.
Because they look at it through your eyes.
But to be honest,
is great.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
You know, because you know that people have now begun to understand where we want things, and that might be acceptable to some, but not to others. And as long as you know that from a customer perspective, we always want to be trying to aim for there. Sometimes conditions and the weather and the circumstances change, but you've still got to aim for where you want to be, and hopefully more often than not hit it.
And I think you get the right people. In our industry, we're very lucky that a lot of people who work in it are really passionate about what they do, and they really care about the actual events industry and care about putting on a good job. So I think that when you've got the right people working for you, I know from having some wrong people that worked for me in the past, that it can make such a difference to just the whole culture of everybody in there. If everybody's working towards the same goal, one of our tagline is, we make it fun, we do it better. So you've got to live by that every day. You've got to do it better each time. And if everybody is aligned in that, like you say, you're building that team, then they push each other to be better all the time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. We create experiences. The tagline isn't "we create bad experiences."
Yeah.
We want to create those positive experiences so people go away and say, "Yeah, I want to do this again," or "I want to come back," or "We want to invest money," or they want to see that value, especially in current circumstances. They want to see the value for money. That doesn't mean cheap. That means value for money.
Yeah.
So if you're putting a price point on something and you can justify it and their experience is going to live up to that, they'll spend it again. If their experience isn't good, they'll suddenly come back to you and say, "We didn't think that was value for money. We'll stick with you, but based on the experience we had last time, we're only willing to pay this." It's an important one.
Over at NOWI, the network of women in events, we're extremely proud and excited to be the shout-out sponsor for the upcoming 14th season of the Events Insight podcast. We look forward to shining the spotlight on some true industry trailblazers. To find out more about NOWI, you can find us on www.nowi.org and become a member today.
One of the things that our listeners did sort of bring in quite a bit in terms of the previous season is around how we share and learn from each other when things don't always go to plan. And I know
Probably quite
there's quite a few stories, and we won't necessarily go into this real detail and name clients and things like that, but I think we can talk quite generalised in terms of some of the situations and how we got over them or found solutions or worked through them to still be able to get an end result. So who wants to share something first?
Well, I've got a funny one that I can tell you, and I'm definitely not going to name the client. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to name the client. But this was back in COVID, and we were doing all the virtual events, and you'd see everybody on screen, and I'd be stood in front of the green screen hosting it and everything like that. And there was one person who wasn't muted, and we were just getting ready to start, like I think it was a music bingo or something like that. And she sat back in a chair like this, and she's leaning back, and she's shouting something to her partner, and then he comes in, and it was a Friday afternoon, everybody was having some drinks and stuff, and he comes in and starts giving her a kiss. And then he climbs on top of the chair, and then she starts taking her clothes off, and everybody else is like, you can see all the colleagues looking at the thing, and I had to like come on screen. I'm going, "You're not on mute and your camera is still on." And anyway, they started getting into the act to the point where I'm shouting and other people are unmuting themselves going, "You're not on mute, turn your camera off, turn your camera off." And we got to see a little bit of it, and then all of a sudden her camera just went off and she left the meeting straight away. And so for us, sometimes those events were a bit dry to begin with. That one definitely was.
How did you keep the momentum on that one?
So then I was like, well, that is just a lesson to everybody that if you have your camera on, you need to be aware of what you're doing and what you're showing to all your colleagues. And then we carried on with the event, but that was a more entertaining one.
How was music bingo after that?
It wasn't quite as entertaining, yeah. We were all more wanting to get back to seeing what was on the other camera, I think. But,
especially on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I think, I think about this in advance. I think, mishaps occur through miscommunication, misunderstanding, timing issues, and there's a few little instances that I've sort of seen over the years, just in terms of communication, where something might happen, and something as simple as you finish a job, and then I sort of text back and said everything's okay, everything's gone really well, just the snagging list left to do, and in my haste, I've mistyped snagging. And in a similar vein, so I walk into the office, and everyone's like, "What have you been up to?" So I'm completely oblivious. I said, "Do you want to have a look at your message?" "Oh, bloody hell, no." So, mishaps can occur because of miscommunication. Then we had one where, when you go online shopping, and I've been told about this, where you can misorder cans of Coke, where it's you order 240 little ones when you want the big ones, or if for some reason you get bananas wrong, and you order a bunch of bananas, actually you order 20 bunches of bananas. So things can get wrong with measurements sometimes in terms of miscommunication. So we had one where someone expected a banner that was sort of this size, but actually it was about 10 times that size. So then how then do you reuse something? We came up with a novel way of actually chopping that up and using it around the site. So sometimes miscommunication can be a problem and a bit of a misunderstanding. But I remember one where it wasn't so much a mishap, but the weather had created It was the year when it was incredibly hot, and it was at Hillhead, and it was baking hot, and everyone wanted to have ice creams on their stand, and everyone wanted to have cold drinks on their stand. No one could get anything. And one of our clients, I won't name them, but they did something that was fantastic. The guy said, wouldn't it be great? The machinery company said, wouldn't it be great if we had ice creams on our stand the next day? And he said, yeah, that would be great. Be a bit tricky though. And they went to their digs that night, and they were just talking at the bar. And they said, we're looking to put ice creams on. What can we do? Can we go to the local supermarket, buy loads of ice creams? They'll all melt in the heat. And this guy just sat next to him, have a pint, and said, well, I make ice cream on my farm. I've got about 500 tubs and a freezer if you want it. And next thing, this guy turned up, and there was all these ice creams on it, and it was sort of the disbelief that this one stand was the one that was able to produce these ice creams. And you kind of think, actually, that unfortunate circumstance of really hot weather had created this, this opportunity, not from a mishap, but unfortunate circumstances, and good things can come about. And it's just that mindset of, where there's a will, there's a way. And, that where people want to do something and find an opportunity to create a solution, then, there'll be a way to do it. If a guy in a pub who's got loads of ice cream falls into your lap.
It's amazing. It's amazing how who knows who.
Exactly.
And this is why I always try and say, in terms of when you are looking to recruit a team for an event, it's so important to have someone with local knowledge within that team. The additional value that they could, I'm not saying not always, but could offer you.
Yeah.
Saving money, saving time, finding solutions, rather than going on the internet and trying to find something.
And I think on events, there's always something going to go wrong. The client hardly ever knows about it, but there's always something that could go wrong somewhere.
Yeah, very true.
So everybody in your team really is just used to just finding a solution to it. Everyone can go, I'll stick to plan one because that's the only plan that you need. That's not true ever. It's someone will have forgot to put a bit of gaffer tape on the van, and we all know how important gaffer tape is. But it could be just something as simple as that, and that could be just from, like you're saying, communication or clarity. Or we've got an event happening this Friday, and the client had emailed and said they wanted balloons on it. It's a circus theme. And then the person who sold it, I'm not going to name them, but it's my dad, hadn't sent the email on to the ops team about it, just put some balloons. And then we were chatting to him yesterday, like, how many balloons do you want? He says, I told him they'd have about 100. And so all of a sudden, but because there wasn't that clarity of message all the way through, then the ops team start going, right, we need to order some, if we're going to go and get some helium, we're going to do this, and we got another member of staff on it. But because he just forgot to pass that message on about how many there is, then in the background, the client's going to be none the wiser, but in the background, you're finding all those solutions to, well, we probably need another member of staff. We've got to blow up 100 balloons in however many hours and place those all over the place and stuff like that. So I think that clarity and communication is key to making sure that you can overcome whatever problems arise.
There are problems on occasions that not that you can't overcome, but you just don't know are going to happen. We were doing COP26 up in Glasgow, and we've been up numerous times to measure this site, and we took this measurement to this one particular location where there was a necessity for a covered walkway from the edge of our building to over the top of this part of Glasgow. It's called the Armadillo or something like that. So we went over the top of that, and we measured it, no problems at all. We'll make something to fit. Brilliant. Come back 6 months later to fit it, then this sponsor had appeared on top of this building, and it was, well, that's scuppered everything, hasn't it? And then you have to sort of manoeuvre a way around, say, actually, if we do this, and it's that, don't just say no, what can we then do to create the solution that's now presented to us? And we've tried to find a way with lots of different engineering, different crane use, and you work a way around things sometimes. But there was also one instance there that's quite funny, where another tent was measured and it was teeming with rain. The weather was awful. Who thought of doing a climate conference in Glasgow in October or November? But I think the actual event was fantastic with the weather. But while we were building it, it was very wet. And this one poor guy, we were working very late one night, reversed into a piece of street furniture. He couldn't see it. He was being bounced, all these other things, but it was just so wet. And as a result of knocking that down, this tent that was slightly mismeasured fit. so I said to the guy from the organisation, is there any chance are you going to repair that? And he goes, we're good, but we're not that good. I said, fantastic. Just don't do it. And then as a result, this all fit in. It was, it seemed...
4 weeks will mend it, roughly.
Come back to us in a few weeks and you can do it then. So these things happen sometimes, and it's just a case of how the team reacts to it and what you can do to accommodate certain problems.